Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're taking a look at something that I think most players really need a better understanding on. It's not something that we all talk about very often, and it's something that I'm pretty sure some people have either missed entirely or don't really use properly, because if you did use this properly, you wouldn't have the problems that every single alliance that I have been in has. There is a problem in every alliance with finishing your resource nodes, with farming correctly, which means to tell me that people don't understand a very important premise to this game. There is a capability. What is that sound? There is a capability for us to save March setups. Okay? There is a process within the game for us to save marches, to save lineups that do something specific. As you'll notice, there's 3 different colors. You've got black, green, and blue. And you've got 5 different marches that you can save in each. So for me, the way that I have this separated in my mind, and of course you don't have to do the same thing, you can do it your own way. My 5 black nodes are used for field battle. The green ones are used for gathering, and the blue ones are used for fighting zombies. Because if you think about it, those are the 3 things that you do in this game. You fight people, you fight zombies, and you farm. Okay? So that's how I have it set up. Which means that I'm not going to have to spend the time. If you think about this, normally what happens is I'd have to go out here, click march, click create squad, select 2 heroes. Let's say I go with Bella because she's my strongest. Now I have to scroll all the way down here to put her with someone like Elena, because Elena's a little bit farther down, in order for me to send the march out, right? Instead, I can just go click, march, create squad, black, march. Now I've saved it with Sven because my Sven's almost awakened, and so he hits a little bit harder. And typically when I'm running rallies, I'm going to be running rallies with Bella and Sven. And I'll be fast quicking into that option. But it would be very simple for me to go march, create squad, and save with Bella or with Elena instead. Because Bella Elena is a really good line. It's going to hit really hard. Once you have Elena awakened and she ends up getting that bonus travel speed by 20%, it really makes her do a lot more damage. And it's a really, really good pairing, right? So I could go ahead and save this lineup. Click save, click here, overwrite existing file, and now it's saved here. So now when I want to go here, click march, create squad number 2, it saved it very, very quickly instead. Okay? So this feature of being able to save your marches saves so much time. All right? And it gives you a little bit of a capability to better utilize your heroes. Because here's the tough truth. I think most players leave farming to the automatic hero selection function. So they're going to click here, they're going to click gather, and they're going to click create squad, and they're just going to instantly click march. Okay? They're just going to click march. It's going to select whoever the game thinks is going to give you the highest gathering speed, and it's going to send that out. But you have to remember, it's not thinking about your best setups. Now, we've talked about pairings for matchups before. We've talked about pairings for gathering before, right? Who to put with who in order to have some of the best numbers, or at least in order to have balanced numbers between all your marches. Because I can go out here and put my 2 best gatherings on steel, but then I'm gonna suffer when I put, my next 2 best on here, and then by the time I'm at oil, I've got no gathering heroes left, and I'm ending up sending farmers because the game is automatically giving me all of my gathering heroes. It's not taking into account the fact that it wants that you personally should want to balance out your farming lines a little bit, unless you're really, really focusing on oil. And it doesn't, unless you're really hurting on oil and you want to make sure that your oil line is, for some reason, finishing nodes much faster. But if your nodes all finish at the same time, you're more likely to come back and refresh them all, right? Instead of coming back and only having one done, and then only sending one, and then waiting a long time for the... Like, it makes it more efficient if you have your marches balanced that way, okay? So, for me, for example, I've looked at the heroes, and I've chosen what I think to be the best hero pairings for gathering that you can find. And we're going to go over those those four, pardon me, so that you have at least one strong farming for food, for wood, for steel, and for oil. Use your heroes to the best of their abilities, okay? So, when I look at a node, for example, when I look at these saving lines, my green ones I've saved are all of my farming lineups. So if I look at them, for example, I've got Sarah Vandermeer paired with Andrew Morrison. But truth be told, I'm going to switch out Andrew Morrison. And I'm going to switch out Andrew Morrison for... Where is... And I believe... Just give me a second, because we're going to do some quick math here. So he does food speed by 18%. Wood and gathering speed by an additional 12%. Meanwhile, Angela provides 20% gathering speed boost altogether. So truth be told, my number one line is going to change, and I'm going to put Angela instead.
But they'll figure it out sooner or later.
Oh, that's going to screw things up. So my number one line I do is farming food. So let's find a food node, level 6. 1.2 million. See, this is my point. This is a prime example of my point. We're farming a food node, and it gives me my wood farmer, one of my wood farmers, right? To farm food. Now, I use him to farm wood. If I was to send him out to farm food, my wood line suffers. Okay? So we're going to go here, we're going to click here, and instead of him, I want to put Angela. And we're going to save this line here. Okay? This is the line we're going to save, because that's going to give us a higher gathering speed than if we had him. Yes, it's only 2%, and yes, my squad load drops a bunch, but the truth is, the squad load doesn't matter much when we're talking here, unless we're farming in, areas where they could be at risk. But 4,000 armored Hummer is not going to change much in regards to points or healing, right? What I'm going for is as fast as gathering as possible. So, that's what we're going to save this march. That's what I would send out. Okay? If I look at a wood node and I go gather, here again, it's going to select her because she's really good at gathering wood, right? She does an additional, she does a total of 39% to food and wood. So it's going to pick her. But remember, if I was to send this out, then she's not going to be able to lead my food farming line. So what I've done is I've saved the next best wood farming line, which is Jeremy, right? He provides 30% speed increase to wood, right? And then we've got Michelle, because Michelle provides 24% to wood, okay? And an increased load of 40%. So basically, these guys together provide 300. It makes my speed gathering at 390%. So that's where I have them saved here. Next, if we look at a steel node, we created. Again, you can see how automatically, like Jeremy is such a good gatherer, he ends up in a lot of these top lines. But that doesn't change the fact that he's already busy doing something else. So I've saved a line with Alexander Solikov and Chris, because Chris provides a bonus gathering speed of 20%. And that's what you farm steel with. Next, if we look at oil. All right, Mr. Drone, chill out. Thank you. Next, if we look at oil, let's find a level 6 oil, just so we can see the max amounts. Those are level 5. Oh, I'll just do it this way. All right, 240,000. If I was to create squad, again, Jeremy shows up. Shows up with Maxine. But remember, he's farming wood, so he's not going to be there. I've saved a line with Maxine and Sia. when they released Sarah, okay, previously to this, Maxine was farming food for me because she was like the best. She's effectively the best food farmer that there was in the game. But then they released Sarah, and Sarah does food very well as well. So I moved Sarah to do food, and I moved Maxine to do oil because Maxine is also really good doing oil. Right here. Food and oil gathering speed by 36%. Right? So she does food and oil really well. So I've got her on oil, and then Sia also does oil by 30%. So this gets my oil up to about that, between that 375 to 390%. This means that all of my marches are effectively completing right around the same time, right? All of my level 6s finish right around the same time, which means that I can send them out, right? Send out those 4 marches, and they're going to complete all around the same time. The only one that suffers a little bit is number 5. So once I send out all 4 marches, let's do right now so I can get them farming, right? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to send 1. Done. Let's find one in our area. 1.2. 2. Done. 3. Done. Done. So that process is much quicker than having to go through and select it. However, now you're kind of at an impasse because once you've sent out 4, you're either going to be farming a 5th one, or you're going to use that 5th one to run hives, which is another great option, or kill zombies or whatever. Now, if you're going to want to go out and send it to kill zombies, there's another, that's where we can get into the zombie line. So we'll go create squad. Guess what? My blue section is for all my zombie hunters. Now, I've done a whole other video on who are the best zombie hunters in the game. And in my opinion, these 5 that we have leading are the best zombie hunters. You've got Peggy and Russell. You've got Martin, Lee, and Jaden, right? Peggy and Russell, these 2 here, the 2 purples are effectively your top zombie hunters. That's what they're effectively kitted for. Martin doesn't really do anything else, and his abilities also benefit zombies, so you put him there. Same with him, and same with him. Their skills do extra damage to zombies. So I have their talent trees done to zombies. And, yeah, their talent trees are done to zombie hunter, and that's what I have them set to. So whenever I want to hunt zombies, this is what I'm hunting for. And all that I have paired with them is all the characters that I would like to level up. Because here's the other difference. If I was to go back here, if I was to just choose a zombie and click attack, it's going to pick my best zombie hunter leader. No problem arguing with Peggy. But it's going to pick my strongest hero, which is Bella. And Bella's already level 60, so there's no sense in me sending it out there to kill a zombie. And I know I'm not going to struggle to kill a regular level 30 zombie with any other hero as long as I've got Peggy. So I want to make sure that in these 5 lines, I'm saving the heroes that I'm trying to level up. So Peggy is working with Peter to get Peter leveled up. Martin is working with Sven to get Sven leveled up. Cap Russell is working with Hank to get Hank leveled up. Lee Sun Wong is working with Sarah to get Sarah leveled up. And then Jaden is working with Felix to get Felix leveled up. But that's how I'll have those saved. Which also works with another feature that I'm not sure people recognize called Mass Deploy. If I go March and I click Mass Deploy, I now have an opportunity, look at this, to save 3 individual Mass Deploy lines. So if you'll notice here, I've got my zombie line march set up, and I've got my regular battlefield, and then I've got a different battlefield, right? So one's with the full hero troops, right? Like your expansion buff on, right? So that way, if I have an expansion buff on, I can easily go to battle with these ones here, versus having to go into these ones and then increase every slider by, 50,000 or whatever. But I've got one saved specifically for zombies. So if I click here and click load, it's going to open up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 4 marching right now, but it would open 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could click march and it would send out 5 marches quickly. So I'm not having to select 5 individual marches to send them out. So remember your mass deploy, use mass deploy, and save your marches in those mass deploy. Okay? Because just like gathering seems to, like, it doesn't pick the best. It's not the smartest. It might pick the strongest, but it doesn't take all of your heroes into account, right? Just like here, if I wanted to send out a march, it's telling me right now my best march to just send out, if I was to go march create squad, is going to be Bella with Master Jin.
I must.
Now, don't get me wrong, Master Jin is fantastic. But he doesn't want to just be in field battle. He wants to go out and do things. So I wouldn't naturally just send him out like that, which means that I have to go back here automatically from the beginning and already pick a different hero to pair him with. Either Elena or Sven, or if I want some extra speed, Cynthia. You know, my Mai's not, you know, I could put her with Mai, but I don't have the speed one here yet done. So, like, you can pair them that way, but automatically it's going to pick this pairing here. Again, which isn't bad. It's going to hit hard, right? Master Jin does really well for that. But Master Jin also wants to be sieging, right? Damage dealt by squads during siege. He wants to be sieging. Is he going to work this way? Yeah, absolutely. He'll hit on the field. He'll punch hard. He also doesn't have a skill. Like, he also doesn't have a skill that does extra damage, like extra direct damage. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a rage skill. So he wouldn't be as effective as, say, putting him with, even putting her with Lewis, an awakened Lewis, right? So there becomes a situation where the game is trying to make calculations and it's not necessarily the right strategical calculation. It might be the right might, like the overall might be correct, but it's not the right strategy. So you have to be really careful about it. And just like in farming, people don't use their saved functions enough. This is why we consistently see Jaden's on the field. This is why we consistently see Peggy's on the field. Because they're not using the proper strategy when selecting lines. So when you save your lines, think about and use some strategy, right? So like I said, in those 3 sections that we have to save, the blue ones I have are saved as all of my zombie hunters. Okay, this is my zombie hunter line. These are my battlefield lines. Okay? These are my gathering lines. Okay? This one here is not a gathering line. I'm putting that out there right now. This is not a gathering line. Master Jin and Peter don't gather together. Okay? What they do is they run a really fun siege. Okay? They run a really fun siege that sends like 2.5 million troops, 2.48 million troops in a march. And it's just fun to watch because people have a real tough time dealing with it. So I have it saved here because I don't have a 6th function here in my battle setup. And if I want to send a fun rally, I just send it from this one instead. Does that make sense? There's 4 main gathering lines. I'm only ever really going to farm with 4 lines. I might send 5, but if I do, I'll auto send that last one because that one doesn't matter. But I'll typically save this one as this siege line. Or what I might do is save this as a 1 march line. I might come in here and do this. I might come in, put Stan, and I might come in here and put 1 car and then save that rally instead. Because when you're building towers, you want to get to 1 troop. Like sometimes you want to build with 1 troop in order to farm silver and gold coins, like alliance coins, and then your silver coins. And if you don't know about tower building and slow building and stuff like that, I'll do another video about it later. But I might save this instead. That way it's easy to go just into this one, and I don't have to keep selecting Stan and then keep collecting over here and clicking 1 and blah, 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 blah. So if you save this one instead, it might be quicker. Depends on what you do more of. If you're building with one troop more, or if you're sending rallies more, that'll typically what you save that 5th line as. But that's really it, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a huge function, a huge feature that I think more people need to do, more people need to use, and it will save you troops. It will save you missing up on resource lines, like resource nodes. If you didn't know, when you look at a resource node, there's 480,000 here. If I create a squad, this load right here needs to be above 480,000 for me to clear that node. If I send this, that's not going to clear the node, right? If I send this, absolutely that'll clear the node. So, always want to make sure that you're sending enough to clear those nodes. I don't remember. I think this is oil. I think this is oil. No, it was steel at 480. I'm dumb. I'm glad I didn't send it out. So, you have to make sure that you're over that quantity with your load in order to be able to bring back that whole thing. And sometimes if you click gather, if you don't have enough troops, you'll click march. And if you're out of troops, for example, or the rest of your stuff is out, you'll only have, you might only have something like that left in. And it's not going to tell you, not going to clear. And so you'll send this out and it won't clear the node totally. And then you end up all over the place with nodes that are half empty. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing more frustrating than clicking search for like 5 or 6 times, only finding nodes that are like half cleared. Because the nodes don't refresh until they're cleared. So you have to clear them first. And if you don't clear them, then you're just leaving your bits and your mess for everybody else. Okay? But this is it, guys. We've gone through those 15 different marches. We've gone through mass deploys, so you should know how to do that too. And we've even talked about some pairings. When it comes to gathering, you want to focus on having those 2 pairings together. Remember, the leader brings everything. They bring their armaments, they bring their skills, they bring their talents. The assistant or co-leader only brings their skills. They don't bring armaments, they don't bring talents, they only bring their skills. So if their skills have bonus speed ups in regards to farming, pair them together. I've gone through them myself and provided what I think is probably the most balanced for farming lines. If you can think of a better way, go ahead and put it in the if you can think of a more efficient way, put it in the link or in the comments below. Maybe I've missed something entirely, which is possible. I've done that before. I can be pretty blind to something sometimes. But that being said, guys, if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead and throw them in the comment section below. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button. Go ahead and do that. We are on our march to 1,000. We are just cracked over a 700. We've only been here for a couple of months, so our progress is doing really well. The community has been super accepting. I have to give a huge shout out to everybody there. I think Doomsday probably has one of the most accepting, as much as it can be toxic in the English chats and the world chats and stuff like that. The community itself actually has a fantastic group of players, so I have to give a shout out to that. If only the developers would start to listen to us more, we could probably help them build a better game. That being said, folks, like I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscription button. If you'd like to help out the channel just a little bit more, click that join button and join for only $5.99 a month. Become a bud tender, a member, get access to additional emojis, get access to additional notifications, additional members only content, all the stuff that we're going to have prepped. We're going to access to merchandise, which we'll be having coming soon, that my wife hand makes. So we've got a lot of things coming to make things a little bit better. And of course, all that costs is $5.99 a month, and that's American. So you can help out the channel and get shout outs from that way. But that being said, guys, I am out of here. Thanks very much for tuning in. Love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.